Hi, you guys, and welcome to my YouTube channel. If you don't know me, my name is Bianca. I've trained with SM and YG entertainment coaches, including Blackpink's dance coach and also Chungha's dance coach. I've been singing for over 10 years, and I've gained over 70,000 followers on YouTube and TikTok, where I talk about my experience as a K-pop trainee. Today, I'm going to reveal the SM K-pop training schedule. Now, if you guys don't know what a K-pop training schedule is, basically when trainees are at a company, they have a specific schedule that they have to follow in order to become a K-pop idol. And it's very much gate-kept. You can't really find it anywhere on the internet. And that's because these companies, they don't necessarily want you to know what these K-pop trainees are doing all day because that's a part of their business. That's how they make stars. But today I'm going to teach you guys how you can train like a K-pop trainee. There's a lot to cover in this video, including my daily schedule, my weekly schedule, and then my monthly schedule. These are all topics that I'm covering in this video. It varied day by day and month by month. I'm going to start off with monthly, and then I'll go down to weekly, and then I'll go down to my daily schedule as a trainee. Additionally, I'm going to talk about my own schedule as a vocalist, and then what a schedule would look like if you were a dancer, and then also what some of the other trainee schedules looked like based on their experience. Today, I'm going to teach you guys how to become a star. So here's the layout of what my training looked like per month. So for starters, K-pop trainees have a monthly evaluation where they will dance in front of the whole company and the judges and their coaches and the people who run the company. Now, usually the company will rate trainees on a scale of 1 to 6 at their performance at every month. The rating of a 6 was incredibly rare, and it's usually only given to either new people to motivate them or for people who are just about to debut. Usually every month you'll get anywhere from 1 to 3 points. So I usually got 1 to 2 points on my dance and 3 to 6 points on my singing. At these monthly evaluations, trainees will usually perform in groups. But if you're a trainee that's closer to debut, you will have the opportunity to perform by yourself. You will usually perform either a song or a dance. Sometimes you will perform both at the same time, depending on how advanced of a trainee you are. So if you've watched K-pop survival shows, you will see that some K-pop trainees, they have like an A rating or a B rating or a C rating. At my company, there were rookies, juniors, and senior trainees. And then additionally within that, there was a scale from F to A. It's a little bit demoralizing to be in like the F category, so that's why those trainees are just called rookies. Everyone starts at F, so it's much more positive for the companies to call all of the new trainees rookies so that they have the time to develop and grow themselves. Level F to level D was rookie trainee. These trainees were learning the basics. You're just trying to get the basics of rhythm down, trying to learn how to stay on pitch. And there was the most amount of rookie trainees. Probably like out of 100 trainees, there would be like 70 rookies. Everyone starts at level F and works their way up from F to E to D. So there was like 3 levels of rookie. And getting out of rookie usually takes people around 3 years. Meanwhile, level C to B was junior trainee. I was a junior trainee working really hard to be a senior trainee, and I even made it to level B at the end before I left. There was not that many junior trainees, probably like 20 to 25 junior trainees. Junior trainees were able to take special elective classes, more access to private coaching, and we also had special opportunities to work on various music shows, to work as background dancers, modeling campaigns, and work on music videos. But we were also competing against senior trainees, and obviously the companies had a bias. This was very rare. Those kinds of opportunities were only if a senior trainee had backed out, or if they were sick, or if none of the senior trainees were matching the expectations of the company yet. And finally, level A was the senior trainees. Senior trainees got a lot of perks. They got to work on music shows, to be background dancers, to modeling campaigns, to singing backup vocals. They had all of these really cool opportunities. Everyone was trying to be a senior trainee. They got to have their senior photo shoot and cool stuff that would set them up for their career in the industry. Senior trainees were considered ready to debut. Being a senior trainee basically meant that you were good enough to work in the K-pop industry, which was really cool. So usually 1 month would be an evaluation for dance and the next evaluation for singing, and they would switch back and forth between the two. So an evaluation for dance would be like in January, and a singing evaluation would be in February, and they would switch back and forth. So 1 month would be a dance evaluation, and then the next month would be a singing evaluation, and the next month would be a dance evaluation. They did this because usually 1 month was not enough time to see significant progress for each trainee. So having 2 months to prepare for each evaluation was very helpful because 2 months is about the right amount of time in order to, get better at a specific skill. So you'd have 6 dancing evaluations per year and 6 singing evaluations per year if you were a rookie. And if you were a junior trainee or a senior trainee, you'd have to do both at each of your evaluations. They just wanted to make sure that you were getting better and better every day. And sometimes you would get to choose what song/dance you wanted to do, and other times you wouldn't get to choose, and the coaches would tell you what to do. Rookie trainees would always have to do their evaluations in groups, and junior trainees and senior trainees would always do their evaluations individually so that the judges could differentiate them better. Additionally, every month it is very typical for companies to cut trainees, so if you don't score, then it's very likely that they're going to send you home. You can think of the monthly evaluations kind of like getting tests in school. I like to compare the K-pop training system a lot to being at a university, and it kind of has this system of, you're getting graded on a scale of A to F, like how they give you grades in school. I was not a huge fan of K-pop monthly evaluations. They gave me a lot of anxiety. But it was really rewarding to get a positive review back from my coaches. Monthly evaluations are basically an exam to see if you are living up to their standards. And if you don't do well in your monthly evaluations, then they have the option to kick you out of the program. So that was always really scary to me. There was one guy there who he was only there for a month. And when he failed his monthly evaluation, they literally just kicked him out, and he had only been there for a month. And he was a foreign trainee too. So he had literally moved to Korea for training, and then he got kicked out within only a month. So that was really scary. For the rest of my time there, I was always extremely diligent about my monthly evaluations. I just wanted to make sure that I did a really good job, not even just in the monthly evaluation, but every day in class and in general. Additionally, they would also have weekly evaluations where you wouldn't get graded or anything, but the coaches would give you very specific feedback and let you know if you're on track for your monthly evaluation. K-pop training classes aren't necessarily private. They're basically only for K-pop trainees. So they're private in that sense, but sometimes it can be quite difficult to get one-on-one feedback from your coaches. So if basically once a week you have the opportunity to ask for personal feedback from your trainer. Meanwhile, the vocal classes were usually private and the dance classes were usually group classes because the voice is very individual and it's not really possible to, listen to multiple people singing at once versus watching people dance all at once is way more possible. And plus, it's also important to dance with other people so that you get a feel of the rhythm and you learn how to dance as a group because K-pop dancing is a lot about dancing as a group. K-pop training classes were from 1 p.m. to 10 p.m. every day from Monday to Saturday. Sunday was free to do personal things, like if you wanted to go out and have fun, if you need to go to the church, if you wanted to go visit your family. But a lot of K-pop trainees would just train on Sunday as well. So the K-pop training schedule started at 1 and went until 10 just because they're very aware that, some kids need to go to school. So some people would go to school from 6 a.m. to 1 p.m. and then they would come to K-pop training from 1 p.m. to 10 p.m. every day. It's basically like an 8-hour schedule. We would all eat dinner together. Some of the older trainees that were done with school would get up earlier and obviously start their day before 1 p.m. So they would be training from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. every day. Other trainees might go to work if they were trying to make money to cover their rent, their food, any other products that they want to use. We had classes from dance to singing to language classes to modeling classes to makeup classes to styling classes to posture classes to Pilates classes. But those were basically your elective classes. And then there was 1 hour of elective class per day, and that elective class would change from day to day in the week. And or you could opt to just not take an elective class. Some trainees would get really tired and they would just use their elective class as an hour to take a nap. But the two main classes that you had to take were dancing and singing. And if you were a foreigner who did not speak the language, then you were required to take Korean class. But yeah, as a K-pop trainee, if you make it far throughout the process, you have to learn everything in order to make sure that you have a good composure. Acting training, modeling training, etc. K-pop training environment was always super fun, but I feel like the ranking system within the trainees feel a bit segregated. Like it was very competitive. A lot of the trainees were super motivated to become senior trainees. Some trainees had trained there for years and they were still considered junior trainees and even rookie trainees after being there for like 3 years, and they're wondering, why am I not moving up? So that was very stressful for those trainees. And then other trainees would only be there for like a couple of months, get really high scores on their monthly evaluations, and sometimes it would just seem very unfair. At the end of the day, we were all working super, super hard. For me, I feel like I got pretty lucky because the coaches, they all really liked my vocal performance, and I was immediately moving up really fast because I was a really good singer. But there were a lot of foreign trainees who like had moved to Korea and were feeling really homesick, and they weren't moving up within the trainee system, and it made them feel really sad. For me, my specific training protocol included 4 hours of dancing, 3 hours of Korean lessons, and 1 hour of singing. Basically just 30 minutes of doing warm-ups and scales, and then another 30 minutes of song practice. And I was always humming and singing throughout the day. But keep in mind that for me, I came into the company as a singer. I already had very developed pitch. I knew how to harmonize. So just take that part of my schedule with a bit of a grain of salt. Also keep in mind that not everyone's schedule was the same as mine. For example, some trainees would spend 2 hours singing. Some trainees would spend 3 hours singing and learning the basics of music. It all depends on what your skill set was like. There were other trainees who had to spend a lot more time on their singing practice because they were not as developed. For me, I came in and I was not a dancer, so that was one thing that I was spending a lot of time on. I didn't know a lot of the basics, including just like rhythm, posture, learning how to distribute my weight, becoming more flexible, and luckily I had the best coaches to help me with it, so I'm super thankful for that. Additionally, I would also spend time learning foreign languages. Foreign languages were interesting for me just because I came in knowing how to speak English and Chinese and Spanish, but obviously I needed to speak the local language. So I was spending a lot of time just trying to be a polyglot. And that was fun for me, but also really difficult just because it basically just felt like I was at school again. One of the really cool things about training is that they would always bring around the idols to motivate us, which I thought was really awesome. For me, I found that to be really motivating. But it also makes you realize that like, oh, these are just normal people. Like idols are just, they have free will and they walk around a building like they're just like anyone else. I also had K-pop trainee friends who would literally start training at 6 a.m. and go until 10 p.m. So they would literally spend their own money outside of our training program to go to dance classes throughout the city. And this was very normal. If they had the extra money, they would go to various classes. They would go to Pilates class. They would take private dance classes. They would take stretching classes. They would take selfie classes. Like they would take all these different kinds of classes that the company would provide to them at an additional cost. So that was kind of cool. I really liked that. I was actually able to engage with this a little bit at the time. I wasn't able to buy all of the classes that they offered, but I was able to buy some private dance coaching, which actually wasn't super expensive at the time. And I would be able to spend private time with my dance coach, which was really nice because I was trying to keep up with these kids who had been dancing their whole life. And I had just started dancing. So I was really just trying to make sure that I could keep up with all the other kids who I was competing against. For me, I had the money saved up because I had been working jobs as a teenager and I just had some of my own money to spend. But I know a lot of K-pop trainees who can't afford to continue their K-pop education just because of how expensive it gets. But yeah, the K-pop training system is super expensive. Like, on top of the company paying for your stuff, you kind of have to pay for a lot of your stuff. And it just gets really, really stressful. They'll give you a roommate and a place to live. Like they'll expense your flight, they'll expense your rent, they'll have food, and you'll get free clothes and makeup and skincare, all of that fun stuff. But it's also just like any other place in the world where like some kids will have more money than other kids and they'll feel the vibe of like, oh, this is a rich K-pop trainee and they're, buying nice classes. They're getting like lasers sent to their skin. They're getting plastic surgery before their debut. They're getting braces. They're getting like skin whitening treatments. They're getting like injections to get rid of their fat. Like just all of these different treatments that the Nepo trainees can afford versus like the quote unquote regular trainees. Sometimes it would help them debut earlier and sometimes it wouldn't, but it was just very like noticeable, and I definitely noticed it when I was training. K-pop training is a very aspirational place to be. I really enjoyed it. I learned so much. I became a much better dancer within that short period of time when I was training. And additionally, I also helped a lot of my other trainee friends learn how to sing, so that was really fun. But yeah, that's about it for my video on the K-pop training schedule. Let me know if you guys have any questions. I'll definitely try my best to answer them. And I hope you guys enjoy my new style of long form video content. I usually just post shorts and TikToks, but today I really just wanted to dive in and do a long form video where I talk about what the K-pop training system is like. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video. It would be great if you could just like show your support, subscribe. It really means a lot to me right now because even though I have a lot of subscribers, I don't get a lot of views on my long form content yet because I've only posted like 3 or 4 videos. Let me know what types of videos you guys would like to see next. And yeah, thank you. I'll see you guys in the next one.